Hey folks, it is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. You're listening to the Daily Ledger Show, and I'm your host, Dennis Sert. Great to be here with you tonight. Hope you had a great weekend. I certainly did. I actually, just real quick, just sold some AirPods that I haven't been able to sell for like forever. So I'm very, very happy. Anyways, we got some good stories we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about a number of stories here. The first one being Anthropic's Dario Amodei. Just making sure we got our mic set up also. It's a one-man show, so just bear with me for a second. Okay, mic's good. Dario Amodei and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to meet as Pentagon considers placing firm on blacklist. So that's kind of a whole thing on its own. We're going to kind of get into that. OpenAI, amid that, calls in consultants for its enterprise push with its new Frontier Alliance partners. So how about that? Uber wants to be a Swiss Army knife for robo-taxis. We talked a little bit on this, so we'll kind of talk a little about that just a little bit more. And finally, Tesla sues California DMV, and this actually just broke, to reverse ruling that company engaged in false advertising on FSD. So we're going to talk about all that. Before we get into it, make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe, share the show with your friends, and let's get into it. Okay, I actually wanted to start with this New York Post article. It's also all over Wall Street Journal, everything. Anthropic's Dario Amodei, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to meet as Pentagon considers placing firm on blacklist. So here's what happened, right? So here's the TLDR. So the Wall Street Journal about 8 days ago came out with this exclusive piece. Pentagon used Anthropic's code in Maduro's Venezuela raid, or the Maduro Venezuela raid. And without getting into it too much, the way that is that one of Palantir's products uses Claude, and the U.S. military uses Palantir, and so that's kind of how that worked. And so the story came out, like I said, about 8 days ago on February 15th, and suddenly it made kind of everybody uncomfortable. And so Anthropic was saying we cannot comment on whether Claude or any other AI model was used in any specific operation, classified or otherwise. Any use of Claude, whenever in the whether in the private sector or across the government, is required to comply with our usage policies, which govern how Claude can be deployed. We work closely with our partners to ensure compliance. So they're not happy about it, is the bottom line. And so Hegseth has kind of been strong-arming Dario a little bit, Anthropic CEO, kind of been threatening to cancel the contract. So that's kind of what's going on. So now it's expected that Dario Amodei and Hegseth are going to meet up, and it's going to be kind of an aggressive meeting, right? Amid these threats to blacklist Anthropic and designate Anthropic as a supply chain threat. That's the kind of the threat. Anthropic knows this is not a get to know you meeting, a senior defense official told Axios. It's not a friendly meeting. It's basically just, figure it out or get fired meeting. Yeah. So anyways, there's a lot going on. Amid that, OpenAI is kind of smelling the blood in the water here and kind of expanding their enterprise presence, if you will, via what they call their, I guess, Frontier Alliance, the Justice League, the Avengers. Like, it's kind of crazy why they felt the need to come up with like a cute name like Frontier Alliance. Okay, but it has like Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey, Accenture, just basically all of the Harvard alums in their hand, just like, you're part of our Avengers now, our enterprise AI with Altman team here. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on. They released this today, actually, this morning, this article. And essentially they'll be working with like consulting giants in the space, hoping to kind of use this moment of weakness of Anthropic and just kind of like have a foothold here. Maybe Sam Altman has been reading Sun Tzu. Who knows? Uber wants to be a Swiss Army knife for robo-taxis. So we kind of talked about this a little bit. Of course, Uber's stock has been down for the past year or so. People have just been selling, like investors have been selling mostly because they don't see Uber being able to compete with like autonomous vehicles. Other people say that, well, you know what, Uber has been like investing a ton of money, like $100 million into like various startups working on autonomous vehicles, right? Uber has backed Lucid. Neuro is like their baby. Wabi, WeRide, and they launched their Uber AV labs, or autonomous vehicle labs, a specialized engineering team that will gather data for robotaxi partners. So they're basically wanting to be the middleman. Of course, if we know anything about business, I'd bet that Uber doesn't win in this, and I'm calling it right now. Regardless of everything I said up to now, I've kind of made up my mind. If I was a betting man, I would bet that Uber doesn't make it in the long haul, say in the next 5 to 10 years. Mostly because we're getting really, really close to, like, I guess what they call level 4, level 5 autonomous driving. Like, honestly, supervised FSD in a Tesla is just, it's kind of out of this world. Waymo, I mean, not to, bury the lead, obviously is kind of leading the space right now with just the number of vehicles they have out there, as well as just their coverage of cities and everything. And the fact that you literally don't even have to be at the wheel. So yeah, this technology is getting really, really good, obviously. And it's expanding. There's a lot of like, and the advancements accelerating, right? So I don't really see a need for an Uber in all of this, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like companies die out all the time, right? You don't have to be too big to fail. Like it's okay to die, if you're a startup or you're like a company, it's just the way it is. You go do another one, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, just look at SaaS, right? I'm not saying SaaS is like completely dead, but just there was a huge sell-off like a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think, but 10 days ago. And it's like people don't believe that SaaS is a thing anymore, software as a service, at least in the stock market. And personally, I'm almost there myself because it's like we've been reading articles about just like boomers vibe coding, learning how to vibe code. We've been reading articles about how, like, you, the audience, and me, about how um I kind of lost my train of thought there, but it's nighttime. I'm really tired, but yeah. Anyways, I'm just talking about how like this technology is just kind of proliferating. If we're getting back to the point for a second, it's like with the amount of people who are able to just like vibe code and create their own apps. That's where I was going. We've been seeing a lot of like niche use cases where like people will just spin up an app, not even put it on the app store. They'll just keep it in test flight, which is like Apple's beta service to beta test iOS apps, and then they'll just use it themselves, right? Like that is literally the bane of the idea of software as a service. The appeal of software as a service used to be, okay, software engineers are some of the coolest people, smartest people on the planet, whatever, right? And they're building this product for me, and then I'll just go ahead and use the product. But it's not like that anymore. Now it's like, okay, well, I'll just have Claude Code do it for me, and then I just won't distribute it or charge anyone. But I no longer have the need to go to the software as a service company and be like, oh my God, please build me this. Please, I'll do anything. Oh my God, shut up and take my money. Right. I'm just saying as a whole, that's why we're seeing the tech sell off, because people are figuring this out. Right. And it doesn't help that, like, I mean, it's not even that like the technology is even fully there. Like, we're getting there, but it's like AI hasn't fully replaced a software engineer, like 100%. Like the software engineer still has to review the code, kind of, put in the context and be like, hey, this is actually how we're doing things, kind of maybe reject like a couple things here and there, right? Approve most of it. But it's like, you still need a software engineer. It doesn't fully replace people. And yeah, it's like with the amount of propaganda, it doesn't even matter. It's like on Wall Street Journal and New York Times, it's what the populace believes. That's what's important. That's what drives the stock market, right? It's like, as long as, just like boomers and like just normies and stuff, people who don't follow tech news too much, like as long as they believe that AI has just fully already taken over the world, right? Or at least the tech world, they're going to sell their SaaS stocks, right? Their software as a service stocks. So I think that's kind of what explains what we've been seeing. But yeah, just to land the plane here, I like want to say that startups and business, and you probably know this already, but it's like, let me just say it. Startups and business, very, very ruthless. You have to be. You have to be cold. You have to be cunning. You have to be, you have to essentially be on top of your shit, right? Just be absolutely ruthless. And Uber being like, hey guys, we can connect you to all of your friends, right? Like Tesla, Pony AI, Waymo, like we're like the universal hub. It's like, you don't need a universal hub. Leave now. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't think that they're going to survive in 10 years. Let's move on to Tesla sues California DMV to reverse ruling that company engaged in false advertising on FSD. So the backstory is that kind of last month, the California DMV essentially kind of had opened a lawsuit against Tesla, saying like, hey, there's false advertising with, autopilot, full self-driving, etc. So Tesla, in response, suspended autopilot in the US and Canada, and they also made full self-driving FSD subscription only. So you can't buy it for $8,000 outright anymore. You have to pay like a monthly fee. And so anyways, so I was actually reading the actual complaint, and it was kind of interesting to me, and I haven't seen anyone talk about it. So let me just read an excerpt. Tesla brings this case to reverse a DMV order that wrongfully and baselessly labels Tesla as a false advertiser, blah, blah, blah. What was really interesting was this. DMV presented no consumer witnesses, which was absolutely true. They did not present any consumer witnesses. Everybody just assumed that, okay, like autopilot is a cool name. They trademarked it. And it's like, no one's going to be like, okay, well, time to drive. Like, you know what I mean? And instead relied almost entirely on the testimony of a single law professor. You know what? And maybe this is too deep for the end of the show here. at the 11th hour, but it's like, this is why the education system needs to be dismantled. Okay. It's like these dumb people who are just absolutely brainwashed and they have an agenda and they just need to just like have power over people. They become teachers and then they just like press down, they just start like wreaking havoc. And this one even went outside of the classroom, out of the lecture hall, and it went into Tesla. The whole lawsuit relied on the testimony of a single law professor. Dude, if you're a professor, fuck you. Nobody cares about you after 2022. I hope you're jobless. Okay? Like, there is no more need for education. There is so much like free information out there now that we have just LLMs and AIs that are provide just at our fingertips. It's literally just education on tap. It's intelligence on tap. You don't need to pay 80K a year and get a degree so you can have some sort of moral authority or moral high ground and you're just on your high horse. Oh, look at me. I have the degree. Look at me. It's like, fuck you. No. Like, you got the clout? Like, do you have a multi-million dollar startup? Are you like somebody? Right? Like, are you figuring shit out? Like, how much money have you made this week? You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about your degree at all. I can't stand people with like who always go in like a debate and just be like, "Oh my god, but I have the moral authority." It's like, no, okay, I don't care. And then you just win. So anyways, yeah, I think we're gonna leave it there. I hope, for what it's worth, I hope Tesla eviscerates California. Fuck that state. Um, okay. Hope you guys have a good night. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.